What?
Hi guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Nightmare X variety show, where I basically don't know what I'm doing these days, but these last few videos, I've been doing these Build-A-Figure sets, and I've been making my own ideas as to, what we could have and we don't have. So, I thought of this one set, and we're going to go over it today. So the set we are looking at today is Varnae. So, this is my mom. So, Varnae is Marvel's predecessor to Dracula. Apparently, before Atlantis was submerged, Varnae was like the vampire lord in Atlantis. And he clashed with Thor before a lot of shenanigans, and then he clashed with Blade, and it was an interesting storyline. I read the fandom article, and I was pleased because everything was cited, and it was a clean article. I like reading the articles. I used to do that for hours. I would just go on fandom and read articles about the who knows who.
That's how you learn things.
Yeah. So, for this Build-A-Figure set, we're doing the typical 6 pieces, the 6 figures, and so I got Thor and Blade, obvious first choices, because they had big events that included Varnae. When he encountered Thor, he told Thor all of his aliases, what all these other civilizations called him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, I forget which I forget which civilization called him this, but apparently he was known to some as Croatoan, and I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, like that show we used to watch.
Yeah, Haven.
Haven, yeah, the Stephen King show. Croatoan.
Was it Stephen King?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Doctor Strange also had a run-in with Varnae, and no, it was more than one. So in the 1400s, I think it was, Varnae demolished this village. He turned everyone except for one person in the village into vampires. And
except for one.
Yeah, a girl. So Thor shows up and he kills all the vampires, and then there's this one girl, and she goes on to try to summon Varnae. I forget what the context was, but she wanted to summon Varnae, and no, she was turned into a vampire, and we didn't know it until that point, and she wanted to summon Dracula, but she accidentally summoned Varnae, and so that was a big thing, and then Varnae clashed with Doctor Strange, so he's my number 3 pick. Number 4 and number 5 are people that hung around with Blade. They were part of his vampire hunting gang, and you wouldn't know that unless you read Blade. So they're Frank Drake and Hannibal King. Now, Hannibal King is his look reminds me of Constantine, and that's cool for me because I like magic characters. I don't know if he uses magic. I think he's just like a normal guy, I think. But yeah, I like the little bit of his article that I did read. I didn't read much on him. But anyways, the last pick, number 6 on this set, would be Conan the Barbarian, because in the BC era somewhere, he encountered Conan and the other one, Kull, the king. Yeah. So,
So Conan is owned by
Marvel.
Was it? Oh, Conan was one of those old the brothers.
Hanna-Barbera?
Yeah, Hanna-Barbera, not brothers, but yeah. I was thinking Hasbro, but yeah, Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
Conan was one of the old Hanna-Barbera characters that they bought, right?
It was actually DC that did the big deal with Hanna-Barbera that fell through later on.
Oh. But Conan was a Hanna-Barbera, I think, wasn't he?
Possibly.
I just remember that Conan used to be one of those Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
Back before Cartoon Network was the thing. Mm-hmm. And most of those Saturday morning cartoons were Hanna-Barbera. Like Scooby-Doo and Super Friends was a Saturday morning. Of course, that was DC.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. But now Marvel owns Conan?
Yeah. Seems like it.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
But yeah, at some point in the BC era, Varney had a run-in with Conan and King Kull, and he actually there for a while wanted to destroy Kull. I hope I'm getting the name right. I barely remember anything I read. But he was like the king of Lemuria. I hardly knew how to pronounce it, but he was like a prominent.
You're way over my head.
He was like a prominent character in the Conan mythos, and after Varney's run-in with those two, he wanted to destroy Kull for a long time. Like, that was a running thing.
So what's the 5 now?
The 6.
Oh, 6, sorry.
Thor, Blade, Doctor Strange, Frank Drake, Hannibal King, and Conan. So, viable?
Well, I don't know. What are you getting? Is this going to be one of those sets where you get something?
Yeah, it's a Build-A-Figure set. Each one of these 6 has a piece of Varney in the box.
Oh, Varney, okay. Right.
You're going to build Varney.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you what he looks like. It's shocking. So, he doesn't look human. He looks like an ape.
What is he? Is he human?
He was originally.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like an ogre or a troll or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is he naked?
I don't know. I'm going to turn down the brightness all the way so I can show the viewers. But I don't know.
A naked ogre. And he was in Atlantis?
Yeah.
Is that where he actually came from?
Yeah.
So do the Atlanteans. Well, you know that one guy, Namor, doesn't he have the pointy ears too?
Yeah.
So that's where the pointy ears came from.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, here it is. He's talking to Thor, and he's telling Thor all the names he was known as. My names are Legion, Pale One. Babylonia called me Ball. The Teko people knew me as Sathagua. To the red savages of this new world, I am Croatoan. In shadowed Atlantis, I was Varnae, Lord of Vampires.
So, Babylonia, that's in the Bible, the worshippers of Baal.
Yeah.
Baal was I guess, if you think of Satan's army, Baal would be like a 4-star general, you know, and they worshipped Baal.
Yeah.
He was one of the demon lords. So.
But he's claiming that is one of his aliases.
Right. So yeah. So he's not just a vampire. He's a demon.
Pretty much.
So that's why he looks like that.
Yeah. He was transformed to look this way by sorcerers before the cataclysm of magic that changed like how Doctor Strange used magic. So he used to be able to do pretty much anything. He would just whip out a spell and he could do something. But then there was this cataclysm of magic, and it basically nerfed him to the point where he had to use magic through objects. So he can absorb the abilities of things, and then he can do certain things, but it would be dangerous for him to do that with everything. That's why he has this collection of magic totems, and he doesn't always use them. He just collects and stashes in his sanctuary. But yeah, here's the picture of him saying that.
Yeah. It's still not. He looks naked because it's still that Viking dude there. His helmet's like right there over the.
Yeah.
And then there's a shadow. So yeah, so he just runs around naked. That's creepy. Dracula wore clothes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's because he's a demon. Do demons not wear clothes?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure out where the artist was coming from with this with this rendition here. That's just a little weird. I don't know.
Here it is. Hyborian Age. In 10,000 BC, Varnae led an attack of the undead on Conan, Red Sonja, and Zula, but they were able to fend him off.
Now that Earth 616, that's the main universe, right? Yeah.
So do you think this set would sell?
Well, I don't know, because a lot of those characters are, and Varnae is not a real well-known character, is it?
No.
So I don't know. If people knew more about him, I think probably would, because he's interesting, but...
I think fans, or super fans, I should say, of Thor and Doctor Strange would sort of recognize him.
Yeah.
And I think fans of Blade would recognize him right off. But that's pretty much it.
Right. Yeah. It'd be like a very limited series, you know, like a limited number that they put out. And because, like you said, the market for it would be kind of small.
Yeah.
but it probably would sell in that market. You know, I think it probably would, because, you know, fans of those worlds or whatever would be like, finally, you know,
Yeah.
a Varnae figure. You know, so
Frank Drake actually has a really interesting backstory.
yeah.
So apparently he was from a line of wealthy, well-known people, and he was a descendant of someone who like shared his last name and all this stuff. So he blows off his inheritance, and he realizes a little too late he's running himself into a hole and he's gonna have nothing. So he does have this castle in his name, and he plans to sell it, but you know, he has to check it out first and see if it's like in disrepair and all this stuff. And it's a very creepy and old-fashioned castle. And inside, he finds a skeleton. And he comes to discover that this used to be the lair, I guess you could say, of Dracula. And he accidentally revitalizes that skeleton, and it's Dracula. And that's the origin story we have for him. And then he gets caught up in Blade's gang of vampire hunters, and he has this really big rifle, and he's just a really cool looking character, and I love his history.
Yeah. So he's just like basically a normal guy that gets sucked into all this supernatural vampire hunting things. Of course, you know, Blade kind of was too, until he, wasn't he? I mean, no, let's see, Blade was a guy, he was born
Yes.
half vampire, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, Frank Drake could be anybody.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a normal guy that, other than having money, I guess, that just gets sucked in. That'd be a cool thing, though.
Yeah.
To be a vampire hunter and be interesting. There's probably something, like I said, this would be like a very limited series that you get in on it now. You'll never see another figure, Frank Drake figure, ever. You'll never see another Varnae figure ever anywhere else but here.
I hate how, like, you know, you see a figure and you want to get it, but you don't have the money, and in the back of your head you're thinking to yourself, I'm never going to see this again, am I?
Yeah. Probably. Yeah, they print out, you know, or produce 10,000 of them or whatever, you know.
That's why I jumped on that tarantula figure, even though it was $50.
Yeah, and where have you ever seen a tarantula figure? Ever. Again.
I should have got it when it was like $16 at Walmart. But at the time, I couldn't get it, so...
Don't you hate that? You'll buy something, and like you said, it's like $50, and then 2 months later you sit at Walmart, you know, for $20. That's the way they usually do it. It's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
Or people will buy something like that. They'll buy them up at Walmart, $20 a piece, and then they'll keep them for 6 months, and then boom, they show up on eBay after they're all sold out everywhere. They'll show up on eBay, $50 a piece. It's a good way to make money if you can figure out what's gonna be in demand later. So, Yeah, there's a new comics store over in Somerset that we need to go to sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of off the beaten path. I saw a little sign about it,
Hmm.
you know, and I was just like, we need to go there. Because they closed that other one,
Yeah.
and they had a lot of cool stuff in there. So I'm wondering if maybe somebody bought out. Because what happened to all that stuff? They had a
Right.
lot of stuff in that store, and then it was gone.
It's crazy that they closed it because
I know.
I mean it was getting business.
I know. I mean, I don't know. You would think, I mean, with the success of all these movies and the success that they have, obviously, of all of the merch, you know, shirts, all the action figures. Yeah. I mean, you would figure comic stores would really be, you know, get a lot of business, but it just seems like, you know, I think there you go again. You know, same old story. Walmart undercuts everybody, you know, but there's a lot of stuff that you can find at these comic book stores that you can't find at Walmart. You know, Walmart has all this mass-produced stuff that they make millions and millions and millions of them. They don't have these like those figures. I call them statues or sculptures almost. Those 15-inch figures of these characters that's so super detailed that almost you're just sitting there looking at them. You almost expect them to walk away. They're so detailed. Of course, I mean they're like $150, $200, which most people, you know, can't afford. But still, you know, there's stuff. People who are fans of comics should, I guess they should help these comic book stores out more, I feel like. And go buy stuff from them. Keep them in business. Because there's stuff there that you can't find anywhere else. And it's a shame that they struggle so hard against these companies like Walmart, that all you find at Walmart is cheap Chinese crap. You know, where you buy a figure and the little white dots, the little highlights on the eyeballs are over. You know, they're just bad quality so many times. You know, I mean they look like something that some Joe Schmo made with his 3D printer. You know, sometimes they're just really bad quality.
Their Marvel and Star Wars stuff that's over at Walmart is actually pretty good most of the time.
Yeah, well, most of the time. But it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same quality stuff that you see those at the comic book store, where they only made probably 500 of these.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's why they have to sell them for so much. But they look like, wow. Like I said, they look like they're just going to step off their little platform and walk away. They're so realistic looking. A lot of them are. Posters. Walmart don't sell a lot of those posters that you can get at the comic book store.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting off topic with comic book stores, but
there's this hyper detailed anti-venom figurine. If you find it floating around the interwebs, you're gonna find it for like $20 to $30. But I would die if I could add that to my collection.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. It was
Christmas list.
Yeah. It was Marvel Select anti-venom. And Marvel Select is like better than Marvel Legends.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I said. If you find a good comic book store, then you should patronize it. You really should. Go and buy something. Find something you can afford and buy it, because just to help them out, because they're getting fewer and fewer all the time. You know, these are just small businesses, people, you know, they're not big corporations, and all the comic fans need to help them out a little. You know. And I love the comic book stores where you can go in there and they have like this section of stuff that people have, you know, turned in and like used stuff. It's fun. So, but yeah, I think, like I said, I think that set, I think real true fans would be interested in that set.
Yes.
It wouldn't be they wouldn't print millions of them like they do some of these other sets, but
Right.
I think it would for real fans.
Well, this has been a longer than expected video, but
I talk too much.
I had a good time. I mean, this is turning out to be one of my better videos. Thankfully, I, didn't have word block like I do sometimes here. And what day is it?
Today's Monday? I don't know.
Wednesday, right?
No, today's Thursday.
Yeah,
Today's Thursday.
So, tomorrow, I don't normally make videos. I will see you Saturday. Peace.